Gary and Wally, I want to talk about the creation of the St. Andrew's Legacy Foundation and a little bit about the back history of us making this happen. If you all would just do a brief introduction of yourselves.
I'm Gary Brezzell, class of '93. That's probably all you need to know. I'm St. Andrews graduate, and I've been really involved for the past 10 years, marginally involved for the time in between before that.
I'm Wally Mann. I'm class of 1991. My spouse is like Gary's. We met at St. Andrews. My spouse is Robin Mann, class of 1993. So Gary's class. I have been involved because I live relatively close. I live in the Charlotte area, so I live relatively close to campus. So I've been on campus and involved almost since the day I graduated.
And I'm Martin Brossman, class of '83, and I was honored to be on the Alumni Council for a number of the years, putting up our best fight to save St. Andrews. And now this is a new frontier. And I like to talk about this structure because a lot of thought went in to creating this and how it's different than other organizations.
All right, the biggest thing to understand with our structure right now is the St. Andrews Association. That is some 10,000 people worldwide, but concentrated in the southeastern United States. It's everybody who was a part of our founding institutions for a year or more. So that's alumni, faculty, and staff. And we're talking about St. Andrews University, St. Andrews Presbyterian College, Flora McDonald College, and Presbyterian Junior College. Anybody who was part of those institutions for a year or more is part of and a member of the St. Andrews Association. There's no dues, there's no voting you in. You already earned that, and that's you for life. From that, we form the St. Andrews Legacy Foundation. Of course, as any member of the association, it's our goal to have continuity of community, to embody our values, and I hope to leave the ladder down for those who are coming behind us who could benefit from the kind of educational experience that we had.
An important part of that is to recognize that this is the membership in our organization, the association, is not limited to alumni. It is limited to those who were impacted by St. Andrews, whether that be faculty, staff, community members in the Laurinburg, Scotland County community, anybody who would like to perpetuate and help continue the legacy of St. Andrews.
And the structure of this, Gary, is the thing that I think is interesting because it's really not your old top-down structure.
St. Andrews Legacy Foundation is a North Carolina nonprofit corporation, but it's staffed entirely by volunteers. The core work group is basically the shareholders, and that is the council. So the council elects the executive committee, or 75% of it. And then, so the council is the workforce, but they're also in charge of who the management is. And the council is a volunteer group. Now, that is something that's voted on, but you have to be a member of the St. Andrews Association to be eligible to be on the St. Andrews Legacy Foundation Council. Council consists of people who were either volunteers who are either recruited or largely people who are self-nominated. They just contacted the group and said, I want to help. I want to take on some tasks. I'll join. It's a 3-year term. Right now we meet monthly, right? So every second Sunday at 7, but that's just for us to touch base with each other and stay coordinated. The real work is happening with the volunteers individually and in small groups who are working between those meetings. Wally and I were in a meeting with our corporate attorney, who's a Laurinburg local attorney, Bill Floyd. And I was kind of amused when he said, wait, your employees can take away the president and add another president on a vote? And we said, yes. He's like, are you sure? I'm like, yes, we want it to be democratic like that. And it was even more fun watching Wally say, yes, that's the way it is when Wally is the president.
I'd like to interject a little bit about our founding and what brought us to where we are right now. And I'm going to borrow some words from a fellow alum, Linda Motley. She did a beautiful Facebook post about what brought her and what brought us to this. And she said, we were notified less than 2 weeks before its scheduled demise and the final graduation that St. Andrews was going to close, that it would be no more. Several of us, upon learning that, traveled to St. Andrews, those of us that could, to attend the final graduation. We were able to talk to each other about how to preserve our legacy, because what St. Andrews is a legacy. It is everything that it has been taught to us and that we've learned and brought from that into our lives. We all agreed that something should be done. The question was what, is what Linda writes. About 2 weeks after graduation, a call came out from the administration who was dealing with the closure of the school and how to close it. And the call came out to alumni asking for urgent help to pack up and store our archives, the St. Andrews archives. These things that meant, physical things that meant an immense amount to us as St. Androids. They date back to our first colleges, Flora Mac, Presbyterian Junior College, all of those. As we packed and preserved our history, we reminisced and talked more about our legacy, Linda goes on. Although the campus sits behind razor wire, it's closed off to us now. A plan started to take shape during those 2 days. Then in the weeks and months ahead, work began. And together we bring that plan to the world as the St. Andrews Legacy Foundation. And for me, that pretty much says it all. It was a small group of us that got together to preserve the history, to preserve the legacy, preserve what's in the Scottish Heritage Center. We even got the cross off the bell tower that had been on the bell tower. We got that cross. So we got the cross off the bell tower and lots of other things that are very important to the history of St. Andrews. With that, we decided to form the St. Andrews Legacy Foundation.
I want to footnote something here because it's important for people to realize the sacrifice that occurred to do this. I think there was no AC working on. It was very hot. It was short notice, and quite a few people, a group, dropped everything to go and lift a lot of stuff in a short period of time, finding out what could be salvaged and what couldn't before the doors closed. And this was a lot of people that moved quickly to volunteer to do this. And that's, to me, part of the core. But also, I've witnessed from the working in the council before, our commitment to get as much feedback as we can from people. And
yeah, it really started before that. I think that was maybe the first big mission where people who were a part of SALF were called out to do something. There's a big call. The school told everybody, if you're coming to graduation, alumni after graduation, go hang out on that plaza between LA and Morgan Jones. And it was there that there was announcements that, hey, this is something we want to do. Everyone who wanted to speak spoke. And it started really taking form right there. And people who weren't on council were coming up to me saying, I know you guys are going to be the ones to organize this because that's the way it is. Count me in, get in touch with me. So we're making our lists right there. And the other part of that was impactful to me is the president of the university was there, vice president of the university was there. And that's where they started basically handing us the keys, passing over the administration rights for all the social media accounts, handing us the alumni database so that we could keep our community together. it formed from there. And then Wally did a really good job of going into the biggest groups that we have and the biggest outlets that we were ready to use at the time, which was the St. Andrews Alumni Gatherings group and the other social media, and saying, we're doing this. What does everybody want? I think we're all on the same page so fast that it didn't matter a whole lot. We were talking about scholarships, fellowships, paid internships, and keeping the community together through gatherings. And that's really sort of what it all revolved around. Those are the tasks that we're concerning ourselves with for our long-term plan for the St. Andrews Legacy Foundation right now. We gathered all those names, there were meetings, and there was an election pursuant to what the way we were talking about it. We got together and said, do we want to have this executive committee? Here's the people who have volunteered to step up. And everyone said, yeah, if you're willing to take on all that work, go, Wally. Because what we're doing right now is very difficult. We're not just walking into a corporation where we say, here, let me train you how to do this. We're walking into a corporation where we're saying our goal is on the other end of the county. We're on the opposite end of the county, and we don't even have any tracks laid for how to get there. So what will our procedures be? What will our tools be? How are we going to put our left foot in front of our right? It's a much more laborious part of an organization's history than what you're going to experience the remainder of the time. So I'm proud to be part of that, and I'm proud of the progress that we've made so far. It felt like it took forever, and then I look back and say, oh, that actually was not a lot of time for us to get to this point. And so we're going to keep working like that and get that foundation laid really well.
Yeah, because not only did people donate tremendous amount of effort and time, but they also wrote checks and they said, look, we're going to donate money so that we can get this seed thing going. We're good. We know we got to get it established. And then once we have a nonprofit we can work with. And then I just want to state, I'm clear of the commitment that we all have of maximum transparency possible within the managing of anything that occurred. And that's something else that I wanted to be part of this, because I wanted to be part. When I got on the alumni council, you called me, Gary, and I said, Gary, I only want to be part of this if they're committed to speaking to the students that are there and what serves them for their future, not my view of the way it should be. And also want to know people that were willing to say, I will do this, and then they'll do that. And that's my experience is a core group I wanted to be part of. And my experience is we accomplished quite a bit. We accomplished on the alumni council many things. Wally, you were looking to see if we could save Farrago. Remember the mission of that? And we decided cost effective. We covered up the lower area belts. It wasn't as ugly for the kids. And you're out there with Wynn putting on things there. Many others. We got the Rooney Kaufman book. And when Rooney contacted me to say the school's closing, I contacted some people and said, can we stop the funds of the book and hold it until the organization set up, and got the okay, and we stopped that. So Rooney Kaufman's book, which was always part of the Alumni Council, is now part of this group as well. And one of the things we wanted to do is let's get scheduled something in April and work out the details. So we had a date. We didn't announce it immediately because you got to figure out if we have a place to go.
Right.
And we're building that out.
You're absolutely right. Dealing with and working through and talking to the folks on social media, folks that had been disenfranchised from St. Andrews in the past or from any of the social media groups and stuff, it's been important for us to reach out to the diverse groups that we have within St. Andrews. One of the things that St. Andrews taught us all is that we can move the furniture. We can ask questions. We can ask, who's doing what? Where's the money going? What's going on? The foundation is rooted in transparency for that. Our bylaws are posted. So if you go to standrewslegacyfoundation.org, our mission, our values, our bylaws are posted there. We are governed by our bylaws. And the bylaws state that while I'm the president right now, I don't have to be. I would welcome somebody to come in and do this. We've gotten this off the ground. Let's run with it. If somebody wants to come in and be president, somebody wants to come in and be treasurer, we can figure that out. That's a part of who we are. I do think it's important for us to share what our mission statement is with the St. Andrews Legacy Foundation. And our mission, and I'm just going to read it right off the website, so you'll see me looking off to the side. That's where it is. The mission of the St. Andrews Legacy Foundation is to preserve and extend the spirit of St. Andrews through community connection, scholarship support, and the celebration of shared heritage among alumni, faculty, and staff. We foster lifelong bonds, recognize distinguished service, and support educational opportunity, all in the spirit of critical thought, creativity, and service that define the St. Andrews tradition. That's what governs us. That's what we want to do as we go forward. You mentioned gatherings and having a gathering. I would be remiss if I didn't say St. Andrews Weekend used to be Alumni Weekend. We're calling it St. Andrews Weekend. It will happen April 11th at the John Blue House, at least right now. That's what we understand. April 11th, 2026 in Laurinburg. The John Blue House has committed to giving us the space that we need to have this gathering. We're excited to be back in Laurinburg, supporting the community, giving the community our money. Go to the website, standrewslegacyfoundation.org. Click on Learn More. Bottom left-hand corner is more about the St. Andrews Weekend. You can also go on to the Legacy Foundation website and update your contact info, update whether or not you will subscribe if you want to receive updates from us. Going forward, the standrewslegacyfoundation.org website will be our official communications channel. We have used St. Andrews alumni gatherings on Facebook as a communications channel. That will become more of a discussion channel versus an information channel. So if you want information about what the foundation is doing, subscribe to updates on our website.
The other thing that is there is the volunteer thing. I want to swing back to something that Martin was talking about, the conversation when I recruited Martin, speaking of volunteers, and he said it one way. And the main thing I remember that he said was, we're going to do something, right? We're not going to sit around and complain. I don't want to be any part of that. I only want to be involved if we're going to accomplish things. Yes, sir, I promise we're going to do work. And so we're going to be servants. So that really, and that sort of embodies the spirit in what we're doing here. There is a easy little form. If you're ready to volunteer, the committee chairs who are involved with different tasks can just grab volunteers and assemble any workforce they want to, with and without people having to commit it to a 3-year term on the council. But if you're ready to commit, there's an election that we have to do, but please go fill out that form. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your years, your relationship with St. Andrews, your vision for the St. Andrews Legacy Foundation, your skill set, just anything that you think would be relevant for us to share into the group when we vote you in as a member. And we need a robust council. We're doing well. We have well over 30 members. You can see them named on the website. I would definitely like for that to be much bigger, because that is our body from which we're drawing our future leadership. That's our body from the president down to the board. And so we need to keep that robust so that we have a good body from which to draw that leadership.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right, Gary. And just so that people know, the various committees ensconced in our bylaws right now, our membership committee, which will be about outreach and reaching out to finding potential members, finding lost alumni, finding faculty and staff, community members. We also have the scholarship committee. The scholarship committee will be in charge of drawing up the guidelines from which we will use to award scholarships to potential college students or trade students or whatever fits the ethos of St. Andrews and whatever we think as a board, as a group, is worthy of us supporting. We have the gatherings committee. That right now is probably our most ambitious, hardest working committee, as they're putting together that gathering for April 11th at the John Blue House in Laurinburg. We have
Volunteers
the,
welcome. All
yes,
right.
volunteer absolutely welcome. We also have the recognitions committee. We want to continue the tradition of recognizing outstanding St. Andrews, TJC, Floramac alums for their contributions to the world as they go out into the world. And then we have the communications committee, which, Martin, I don't think you care anything about.
The
Martin's the current
pitfall.
chair. Our communications committee is how we are going to go out and spread this message in the world. They're going to receive the communications in, they're going to create and help create our Facebook posts, our outside messaging. So any one of those committees that you might be interested in working with, please reach out to us. Reach out, fill out the volunteer form on the website, and we'll gather your information. To my knowledge, we've never turned anybody down who wants to give help. So let's go.
And we do want to make sure when you do it, you're willing to set aside a block of time and execute. Just like I said, Gary, the fundamental of what I got into this is integrity means we say something, we're going to do it, and then we do it. And we've proven that with several tasks, including the Rooney Kaufman book and some of those other things. And I want to keep doing that. I'm looking for some people to help out with the communication. So we have a team helping with the newsletter and stuff. And so if you're have some skills in that area, I'd love for you to join me and we'll get regular meetings and it's small blocks of time. But if we all do what we say we will and hold each other accountable, we'll make a profound difference. And that's to me one of the fundamentals of what we have. And I'm so proud to be part of this and want to thank everybody that's supporting it. And we're going to keep doing our best to those that want to be involved. Like you said, Wally, come forward, let us know. We have many people that came forward and asked. Don't expect to be asked, come forward and ask is what I want to say. Because I was talking to our young man that was in the wheelchair capability. And I said, thank you for asking. We don't have bandwidth to go chase someone down, but we do have bandwidth if you say, I'm willing to help. These are my skills. Where can I start?
Throw in one on the wheelies. One of the many things I'm really excited about is I've been on council for 10 years now, and for the most part, a little off time. Wally much longer, and it was the only wheelie we ever had. I had to go out and actively recruit and really work to put that in place. And now all of a sudden, we've had two come and say, "Hey, if you guys are meeting virtually, now I can participate." And then they're really helping us understand our mobility challenges. And towards the end, the St. Andrews wasn't even really accessible, and that became real apparent to us as we had a wheelie on campus in our council. And so we're going to do better. We're already doing better. That's a diversity that we want to be more engaged with. Understand that our meetings are virtual, so if something was stopping you from joining before, now we're easier to get along with.
Well, I also want to talk about the wonderful Black Student Union that had their event.
So that's been a great merging of two ideologies or two groups. Was when Larry McDaniel said, "Hey, you guys are doing this. Well, Jacob and I are doing this over here with the Black Student Alumni." And that brings out a great point, is that while we are an entire group, we recognize that inside of our group, there are some special interests. There are some areas where we can all find commonality. I've been on 2 trips to India with Neil. So travel internationally while I was at St. Andrews is of interest to me, and learning from others who did that. The folks who have been a part of the absolutely fantastic equestrian program that we've had, those folks have a combined interest or have a special interest. We want to incorporate those into our group and have them sort of as chapters, but as still a part of the whole group. because we all still went to the same school, whether it was in 1964 or 2024. We all went to the same school. We all got essentially the same experience. We had a lot of the same life lessons taught to us. We had a lot of the same values taught to us, a lot of the same critical thinking taught to us that we are bringing out into the world. And I want to bring that back into the St. Andrews Legacy Foundation.
Drama group and the science group, and it goes on in poetry. And so there's so many aspects of this wonderful school that really embraced seeing things from many perspectives and learning from so many different diverse situations. And that's what St. Andrews means to me, because I had some learning challenges and was able to really excel at St. Andrews and work with people. And I loved it. I grew up in DC, and I said, I think I want to be not the smallest fish in a very big pond. I like to be a little different. And St. Andrews was a place I blossomed, met my best friend Rick, that's published several of my books. We all have stories like this, and we want to capture that and share them with each other, and then see how we can take that energy and bring it into the world to keep it alive.
Absolutely. I think that's what we want to do, what we want to accomplish with this. I do want to take just a moment and thank a local Laurinburg institution for opening their arms and opening their doors to us. And that's Laurinburg Presbyterian Church. When we got the call that said, literally the call came on a Friday afternoon that said, hey, the campus has lost water, so there's no air conditioning, and we're getting ready to turn off the power. Come get anything you guys want starting Tuesday, and you have to be done on Thursday. When that call came out, a core group of about 20 people met Tuesday, I forget the date, and 118-degree heat in Laurinburg, started going around campus. Thankfully, Rooney had given us a hunting list of, hey, let's make sure and find these things if we can. The Laurinburg Presbyterian Church said, hey, we have some rooms that we're not using. Would you like to store your stuff there? They opened their doors to us, and we moved the St. Andrews archives, the physical artifacts that the North Carolina State Archives would not take. They'll only take paper. We moved them to there. So I want to say a huge thank you to the Laurinburg Presbyterian Church. And if anybody is willing to, go to their website, which is laurinburgpres.com. Their website is laurinburgpres.com. And look down on the left-hand side, there's a little button that says Give Now. If you can give them a few dollars to say thank you for storing our artifacts, that would be spectacular. Stuff that is stored there is pieces of the African art curriculum that we had. We have the original cross from the bell tower is stored there. The original president's desk, the seals from the 4 colleges, Flora McDonald Presbyterian Junior College, St. Andrews Presbyterian College, and St. Andrews University are stored there. And lots of other memorabilia that is reminiscent, that reminds us of our history, is stored there right now. So I'd like to say, if you've got a moment, please take a moment, give to Laurinburg Presbyterian Church and say thank you for helping us out.
Well, thanks, gang, and keep the questions coming and the information. And just understand, if you see something that you go, why aren't they doing it? Maybe it's your lantern to light. Join the board and roll up your sleeves. Like you said, Gary, it's volunteers, and most of us have very busy lives to start with. So that's understand. If you want it, help create it.
And, if you are of mind to get involved, please go on the website, standrewslegacyfoundation.org, fill out the volunteer form, let us know what you're interested in. We would absolutely love to have you be a part of our group.
Great. Thanks, gang.
Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you, Martin. Have a good night.